drone orbit. All headphones, including laptop, are stopped for takeoff and landing. Fasten change wisdom, sit back upright position, window shades are drawn open. Road safety color should not be used at this time. Thank you. welcome to Singapore, and to all residents and Singaporeans and residents of Singapore, a warm welcome home. The local time is 5 minutes past 11 in the evening, and the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. You may use your mobile phones and tablets now. However, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is turned off. When leaving the aircraft, please take care when opening the overhead compartments and check that your outlets and anything behind. Once again, on behalf of SilCare, we apologize for the delay and inconvenience caused. Have a pleasant evening and thank you for flying with SilCare, the member of Singapore Airlines Group. Para penumpang yang dihormati sekalian, selamat datang ke Singapura. Waktu tempatan ialah 11.05 minit malam dan suhunya adalah 25 darjah Celsius. Ini anda boleh menggunakan tabung dingin dan tablet anda. Walau bagaimanapun, sedang anda sempat dan anda masih dipasang dan tinggal pada tidak diharapkan. Berhati-hati apabila membuka ruang di atas tempat duduk dan pastikan semua barangan pilihan anda tidak ketinggalan. Sekali lagi bagi Datuk kami mohon maaf di atas kelewatan dan kesulitan yang berlaku. Terima kasih. 1212 SQ638 to Narita, go to gate A4. Passengers on Celtic flight LH779 to Brentford, please go to gate N31. However, please remain seated for passengers on all these connecting flights. Please wait for the ground staff for assistance. Thank you.
oder eher vor?
Nee, eher danach. Nee, eigentlich direkt selber.
Robbery, some treasure hunters, just to give you an impression of the last press clipping of the last day. Also, museums are robbed, and especially in the last 5 years, many sensational finds were reported in the press. So just to give you an example of the loss of cultural heritage is one example documented in 1995 when these wonderful statues were placed in front of the houses. But when I started my field work in 2000, already one sculpture is left, and this is found. I published it in my last book on Southeast Asian archaeology. It is found in the Dresden Ethnological Museum. And there's a big dispute about if it comes back or not, but you can maybe know the result of this discussion. It's still in dispute, but it's very, very difficult, of course, to claim the right owners. It came through the market to Germany. So also the last statue is in danger because many were already trying to steal it. So it's now safeguarded in the house and not in situ anymore. So as we have discussed this point of restitution, it is a very important issue in connecting with the community museum. So let me now come to my examples. So the first one is a site museum at an archaeological important site of the 11th to 14th century near Medan, and the owner of the museum is now seen here with people, the local community, who also finds things when they are digging up their fields. And so this gives a special opportunity also to keep the archaeological finds at place and to store it. He also has done some replica for his museum, and excavations are possible much easier than in the normal context when we have to pursue permissions for excavation. So these community museums are a very important site for doing educational, for research and scholarly issues, and he is a scholar or a teacher at university, so this brings in his main interest, which is focusing on pottery, also on ceramics. So he offers pottery workshops with children, for instance, what you see here. But there's also a critical issue we were discussing about these personal selective processes, because what he teaches here with the furnace and the turning wheel actually didn't exist in the local context. This is what we find on Sumatra, so very basically made pottery with anvil and the stone. This of course is not really well seen in the context and therefore neglected, but interpreted in another way. So this recaptures also narratives and historic memory of that particular reason. What he also does is translocating, conserving traditional architecture, and these were decontextualized, so certain rituals had to be performed to ask the ancestors to appease them and to perform certain rituals to relocate them here. And now you see how they are also consumptive performances connected to marriage ceremonies in that time. So I also come now to the last museum, which is founded by a missionary, and so you see the kind of blending of Christian architecture. The museum is in a church with the traditional building styles. And here it comes to the point that before missionaries were destroying ancestral images, as you can read here of a Rhenish missionary, and now missionaries like Nias, and at that museum the aesthetic quality becomes important and finds another way of dealing with exactly the same idols or images. So that's why also the question of its restitution is a very big issue, and these museums they could also bring back some of their heirlooms, as you can see here in this museum.
Okay, thank you for the time that's given to me. Now I want to explain to you about our museum that's located in Nias Island, North Sumatra, Indonesia. The kind of museum we have is museum of ethnography or ethnology. We started collecting the artifact in 1971. And then 1991, Nias Heritage Foundation established by Pastor Johannes. He is a German missionary. And in 1995, temporary exhibition. And 1995 also we start to buy the permanent exhibition room. And then 2008 inaugurated. The main objective of the Nias Heritage Museum to establish a museum as a cultural center, cultural preservation of both the tangible and the tangible cultural heritage of Nias. The collection consists of 6,000 rare objects. The stone and wooden sculptures are the majority of its collection, besides basketries, weavings, potteries, weapons, ceramics, wood carving, architecture, and etc. The facilities we have, the office, storage, that's to store the artifact before we put in exhibition room. Souvenir shop, traditional music group, permanent exhibit, which is exploring the past of Nias in 4 pavilions, and another one is temporary exhibition room. Hall for meetings, canteen, library of Nias literature, traditional house as a guest house, rare flora, local plants, and herbal medicine in the museum park. Recreation park on the beach with the bamboo and rare trees. Mini zoo of local wild animals. And that's the staff, museum staff, a total 45 person. As a present total of weekly visitors 1,200 until 1,500 weekly. Since the founder, Pastor Johannes, a German missionary, received permission from his congregation in 1990, he proceeded with his plans to create and develop the museum. The museum has been supported by individual and private donation, and as well as grants from international, governmental, and non-governmental agencies and foundation. Until now, the museum has no permanent sustainable funding, so operational costs of the museum are a problem in the future. The museum and community development, success and challenges, a process of learning by doing. The founder, Pastor Johannes, has no financial support from his congregation. Local government through negative thinking, suspicion, jealousy. That's because they want to also make a museum. Because of that, they thinking suspicion, jealousy, local community misunderstanding and negative thinking. They do not donate artifact or ignorance preface. All suppose that the museum is a money maker. Plans of activities: promoting and reconstructing traditional architecture adaptive to earthquakes as a symbol of identity and ancestral knowledge in material culture. Preserving and protecting the uniques of traditional villages as living museum. Educational program of school kids, teachers, carpenters, group of traditional music and dance. Student work experiences and internship. Documentation center, tree planting, facilitating and pursuing research on Nias culture, as anthropology, archaeology, architecture, DNA of Nias people, art, fauna, and flora. Providing public lectures for NGOs during the rehabilitation period after the tsunami or earthquake in 2004, 2005, and 2014. Change the public opinion that the museum is a cultural and education center for Nias. The conclusion: first, a private museum has to serve the needs of a community and facilitates preservation of its culture and identity. In preserving cultural heritage, a museum must establish a cultural affiliation with the cultural owners. Then, assist the community to maintain and develop the cultural knowledge, wisdom, and value existing on Nias today, making it educational resource for the development of both individual and community. Research, document, exhibit, and publish both tangible and intangible expression of Nias culture as a source of knowledge and reflection. And then promote awareness amongst the community about the higher value contained in Nias culture. Private museum in Indonesia are a primary mover and take great responsibility for the future. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful that we now come to a different type of museum. You spoke about the community museum. In fact, the conference from the very beginning was thought as including all these kinds of very different ways of thinking about the museum, and not only the contemporary art museum. So thanks a lot for bringing that into the discussion. Yeah, I open the floor for questions and remarks. Let's ask
Well, this is very interesting, and but I want to ask about community, because you talk about community museums, and certainly you, in the last part of the presentation, pointed at rather difficult connections or relations with the community, and at the same time both of you made it clear that some of the cultural centers or museums that you present here are founded by Christian missionaries, and Kota and Nias, and Christianity in Indonesia, I know, is not unproblematic. So how does that fit with the idea of community? I mean, shouldn't you unpack community before you think about connecting the museum to a community? Because obviously if a museum, even if it's called a community museum, is perhaps by some people in the community or outside the community seen as a sort of a missionary or a Christian intervention in a particular place, it might not be totally seen as totally welcome. So can you say a little bit more about this connection between the community on one hand and museums as Christian places on the other?
I would like to invite you for short answers, please. Very short answers and short questions, because we run out of time. Sorry.
Firstly, Pastor Johannes or museum, the staff from museum, try to make an approach to the society, also like the workshop, to the school, and then give the understanding to the society. That's a museum or museum is very important for educational. So even though in the first time they feel negative thinking, but after we give the approach to the local government, and they know what for the museum, the meaning of the museum, and then they accept the museum. Yeah.
Okay. And sorry, just a simple answer is it's a regional museum, so the locals are Christian, so maybe 89% on this island and around Batak, because they were Christianized. So that's why there's a bias between the state, because Indonesia is an Islamic state, and of course Christian regional museums which have another focus. So
just please recollect 2 questions and Dorothy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You have said that 1,200, 1,500 visitors, we could see it on the pages too. Why do they think, suppose that the museum is a money maker? Do they have to pay to entrance?
Yes, we make a ticket. Yeah, in order to get money to pay the cost of the running cost, and also to keep the artifact.
I was wondering, you were saying this, especially for Nias, that the northern Sumatra region was Christianized. How does the museum deal with its colonial history of the Dutch East Indies, if at all?
Not really. Not really, because I mean they are proud of that. The Capuchin missionaries, they repatriate some objects. So in fact they are not dealing with that sort of critical view on it.
Thank you very much. I think this is very interesting to think through on many levels. I'm very grateful that you are here, and we have a break of 10 minutes, please.
One, two, three.
Go!
Go!
Usually
And success because it fall down.
Okay. Pascal, du schaffst es nicht.
1, 2, 3.
Ich hab's geschafft. Einmal nicht.
Oh.
Nein, nein. Übertragung muss ich nur noch anschieben.
How do you stop?
Now,
Go!
Oh, nice.
Can I see? Dann lass es. Look. Und du bitte. It's right on Philipp Lahm. Philipp Lahm.
You must change. Stop. What you're telling? What you want to do so? 2, 3.
No, stop, yeah?
It was fun.
Then I shouldn't do a flip.
What?
Oh, Mama said do it.
Bist du ein Angsthase?
Nein.
Dann mach's.
Warum?
Wenn du keine Angst
Machst
hast.
du.
Und ich mach's. Oh, let's see. Gonna make a...
Okay, now time for.
Oops, yeah, I did a video.
不带你的机上杂志。您的手提行李必须妥善放置在头顶的行李舱内或前方座位的下面。任何行李都不得放在座位上、紧急出口附近或机舱隔板后。本航班全程禁烟，机舱和厕所内都严格禁止吸烟。飞机在飞行途中有时会突发点火，因此请您全程都系好安全带。
Ladies and gentlemen, may we ask you to remain seated with the seatbelts fastened until the respective cabin sign has been turned off. We now say goodbye to you. We hope that you have enjoyed your stay on board with us. On behalf of Swiss and your crew, thank you very much and have a nice stay, a nice evening here in Singapore, or a good continuation of your journey.